USC, Maryland, give you a preview and prediction. So Maryland's 3-3, just like USC. And if SC had been playing well and playing up to their potential, we could otherwise look at this game and just assume for the most part an easy win. But the way USC has been playing, we as fans, we don't have that luxury. We don't have that luxury to just look at these games on the schedule and just say, yep, easy win, no problem. And we've seen USC play competitive in the Big Ten. We've seen them play up to teams like Penn State and then play down to teams like Minnesota. And here they are at 3-3. Very close to 6-0 by just a couple plays, but still very far away. And even for a team like Maryland, why should I assume things will be different in a game like this? Even though Maryland might be in the bottom half of the Big Ten, how low, we'll see. But the way things are going, USC could end up in that bottom half too. So it hurts to say that, but that's just how it is. And if you look at the Maryland team, I'm not going to go into a whole breakdown of all the players and positions and all that, but if you just look at some of their stats, you look at their quarterback play, very similar numbers to Miller Moss. They have they got some leading receiver with better numbers than any of our leading receivers, and at least running back play similar to USC, at least by the numbers. So, and this is a winnable game for USC, but said before, we just can't trust this team. They play to their competition, but they play to it on the losing side. And how will they perform after losing a game where they're out of the playoffs and got a couple more injuries on the defense? Who knows? Now, I will say that SC defensively, and I've said in a lot of videos, they're better than they were last year. I mean, the improvement has been gradual. It's not where we want it to be, but I would say by maybe next year, a little bit closer to the finished product. But what also hurts is to have Eric Gentry out, to have for the season, Anthony Lucas out for the season, and Bear Alexander, of course, he's been sitting out the whole time because he just felt like he wasn't getting the playing time he deserved, and he's probably not going to come back. But really, if you look at preseason, that's basically 3 projected starters who are not on this defense right now. And I said before, there's improvement, but without a guy like Eric Gentry, who's a leader, really kind of the best player on the defense, for him not to be there, and Anthony Lucas, those are guys that really could help facilitate that improvement. They're not there, and that could hurt SC in a game like this, even Maryland. And with USC, the offensive line, while they've had their moments where they've looked okay, where SC's been able to establish a run game, they haven't done a good enough job protecting Miller Moss. He's been taking a lot of hits, and I don't know how many more he can keep getting, but they just haven't done a good job protecting him, just kind of like how it was last year with Caleb Williams. But the difference with Caleb was he has that athleticism. He has that mobility to make plays and make something happen out of nothing. And unfortunately, Miller Moss just can't do that. Now, he may not, if the offensive line played at a higher level, we wouldn't need Miller Moss to make all those heroic plays. SC could, like I said, they could be 6-0. They were very close to it. And to think they could be 6-0 at the top of the conference right now with Oregon, that would have been really interesting to see. Now, granted, even if SC had gotten there in a season like this, there would still be, these underlying challenges could still be there. But unfortunately, USC's just ended up on the losing side. And I don't want to be one to blame the refs. And I said in my last video, there were very questionable calls in a lot of these games. But I think USC should always be, or any fan should hold their team to a standard to be above one or two bad calls from the refs that determine the game. You should play beyond that and not let referees influence the outcome of games. But it's just how the games have played, how they've ended up. That's just what we have to deal with. So USC, there's just a lot of challenges, and when it comes to Miller Moss and just this offense, for a true Lincoln Riley offense to flourish, does Miller Moss have all the tools to do that in this offense? Well, I mean, again, the offensive line needs to do better, but I think, having a little more mobility and being able to move around more could certainly help. But hopefully, USC just continues to find ways to win. But it's still going to be a challenge. So seeing the way SC's been playing, I cannot comfortably predict that USC will win the game despite it being winnable. So I'm going to predict USC loses the game 24-23. And I have a feeling it's going to be a very similar situation that's played out in previous games, where it's going to go down to the final minutes. It's going to be maybe 23-21 in the fourth quarter. USC is going to have a chance to put the game away if they could just make a couple or make a crucial first down. But what I think will happen is the offense will stall. They're going to be forced to punt. Maryland will, on like a 3rd and 10, get a nice first down, or on 4th and short, go for it, get that first down. Then they'll try and throw another pass. It'll be called for pass interference, tack on those 15 yards. And before you know it, Maryland is now in field goal territory with less than a minute to go. And then they're in a perfect spot to kick that field goal, and they win. And that's just, it's a scenario we've seen a lot, or, scenarios we've seen that have been very close to just that. And I think that's just what's going to happen. So I want to be proven wrong, but I'm not going to continue to predict wins and then be proven wrong with what turns out to be losses. I've already predicted 2 wins so far this season that have turned out to be losses. And I'm not going to make myself look kind of foolish or something like that again. So I have to predict a loss here until this team can prove me otherwise. But we'll hope for the best. But until then, fight on.